37 before 37 results. It was a less eventful year than last year. Thankfully, no wrecked airplanes, but some big news on the airplane front. If you're new here, every year on my birthday, I make a list of goals to accomplish by the following birthday. It started with a 25 before 25 list, and I just wrapped up my 37 before 37 list. There have been big goals like getting my pilot's license or running a 100-mile ultramarathon, and smaller goals like eating more vegetables or setting up a retirement account for our business. Let's dive into the results. Goal number 18 was to build out my office and workshop. And I'm really proud of how this office and workshop have turned out. Let me show you. So this is my main computer right here with 6 monitors, kind of the same setup I've had for a long time in the previous house. And I've got some nice shelves here, a secondary computer so I can use my laptop, random stuff, fridge, and then this nice wall here that I can hang things up, and a nice little workbench that ideally I'll be using for some electronics projects, but I haven't started doing that yet. And then, another nice plotter and random supplies for work. So this is the office. Let me take you to the workshop. So here's my workshop. This I'm really happy about. Having all these tools hung up here and super organized. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but I couldn't be happier with how it's turned out and how useful it's been. I'll show you a video of what this room used to look like. There used to be carpet on the floors and a giant mirror right here, which I tore out and took down. But yeah, built all these workbenches here. In news from my workshop, a bench for Alexis to work on her new stained glass hobby. And then a workbench on wheels over here so I can move around and work on projects from kind of all sides. And just more wall space with this wood mounted on, which I can easily attach my tools to. So I just drill screws in the wall and then just hang tools from it. And it's worked out surprisingly well. I love it. Oh, and then the last thing in my workshop, if we come in here, I've got my 2 3D printers and all my printing filaments. But let's get back to the goals. All right, goal number 18 was to add 10 pounds of muscle. Over the last 6 months, I've been lifting weights about weekly on average, but also eating high amounts of protein, as well as supplementing with creatine. For the last 2 months, I've been counting my calories and eating in a deficit almost every day. I got a DEXA scan 6 months ago and another one earlier this week. And to my surprise, I'd lost 10 pounds of fat and gained 10 pounds of muscle. This is what I looked like 6 months ago at 23% body fat, and this is what I looked like earlier this week at 18% body fat. Goal number 34 was to message Sherrard 200 times. Sherrard and I have been matched through Big Brothers Big Sisters for the last 8 years, and ever since I moved away from Milwaukee, we've kept in touch through video messages. He recently completed his freshman year of college, majoring in computer science. He kept up the good grades he was getting in high school and also recently just started a summer internship. Chris, if you're watching this, thanks again for the hookup on that. Goal number 14 was to play 10 hours of tennis. I was on the tennis team in college, and by on the team, I mean I walked on and rode the bench for 2 years. But I loved every minute of it. I hadn't picked up a racket in 14 years, but was able to find a league in the area and played a couple of matches. It's definitely a different type of fitness compared to the more endurance focus I've had the last decade. My agility and speed could use some work, as I lost every match I played. Goal number 21 was to use AI more. This was a pretty vague goal, but I felt like this transformative technology was here and I wasn't utilizing it at all. The first thing I did was generate some national park themed stained glass windows for Alexis. And I was blown away by how well they turned out. I've been hooked ever since. I've used chatbots to repair my computer, analyze my training, find discount codes, and so much more. The succinct answers it gives to any topic I'm curious about has been a game changer for me. Goal number 26 is Alpha Dad, my goal to be a better father. I've quantified this goal as 75 hours of teaching. New this year, on top of reading practice, was M&M math, where we would add and eat mini M&Ms. It's now a nightly ritual, a little arithmetic with a side of tooth decay. Goal number 27 was to build out a playroom for my kids. Let me go show you that too. So here it is, a little messy, but actually far cleaner than it is usually. So with my father-in-law's help, we built this climbing wall here with like a overhang portion as well, and then potentially some ladder rungs will go up here in the future so they could climb across, but they're able to climb up on here now. as well as all these mats on the floor and the nuggets, which they love. And then the last thing I added were these hooks from the ceiling so you can mount different swings to it. And the thing they love most is, jumping off this nugget and swinging from these swings. They hardly ever touch the climbing wall, which was far more difficult to build than I anticipated it being. We couldn't find a stud for our life up in that wall. But this is great to have whenever it's cold or rainy outside. The kids can come up here and just run themselves wild. All right, let's get on to the next goal. I almost forgot to show you the other big part of the workshop goal was now I have a garage workshop as well. So the big airplane news is that I sold my airplane and now I'm gonna build one, specifically this one right here. So I've got the first kit of parts right here and some of my tools right here, but that's a goal for next year's list. Let's stay on track with this year's goals. All right, goal number 35 was to make 3 friends. You may have heard about the male loneliness epidemic, and I think I've felt it personally. We've moved a lot for Alexis's job, and I've often wondered how people make new friends when they move to a new city, especially if you don't have like a workplace that you're going to, working from home. The answer is actually pretty simple. Find a group of like-minded individuals and then ask them to go do things. For me, that's been through Run Group and through friends that Alexis has made. It's been such an improvement in my life and something that I think I undervalued for far too long. Goal number 37 is to install permanent Christmas lights. Our house has pretty high-pitched roof lines, and I didn't want to mess with putting up and taking down Christmas lights each year. My father-in-law and dad came down for a couple days, and together we put up these Govee Pro Christmas lights. After putting up the last set of lights, I decided to see how high the boom lift could go up in the air. I got it to its full 50-foot height when the hydraulics cut out. I didn't think I was afraid of heights, but being that high up in the air, swaying back and forth, made me think I need to do something about the part of my brain that thought that was a great idea in the first place. Thankfully, there was a way to manually actuate the pump, and I'm still alive. All in all, 9 fully completed goals, but there's some noteworthy stuff from the partially completed goals. Goal number 1 was to get down to 15% body fat. I told you earlier, I went from 23% down to 18%, so still some work to do, but some solid progress. Goal number 25 was to teach my kids how to ride their bikes. I was able to teach one of them how to ride their bike. Here's a video of him riding in some sleet when he first got it figured out. Goal number 6 was to place in the top 20 of my age group in the half Ironman in Omaha. I was nowhere close to the top 20, but now am motivated to do some actual training after finishing that race. 10 years ago, Alexis and I did an Ironman on our honeymoon, some real type A lunacy, a horrible decision. And we decided to commemorate our 10-year anniversary by doing this half Ironman together. We both finished, Alexis with 1 flat tire and 2 thrown chains, blaming her bike mechanic for those malfunctions. Okay, rapid fire for the rest. Goal number 20, 0 hours of wasted time for 50 days, 19 out of 50. Goal number 19, 1 million of revenue for the small business. We did about 810,000. Goal number 3, 1,500 servings of fruits and vegetables, 1,048 out of 1,500. So 9 full goals plus 3 partial goals brings a total of 12 for the year. Altogether, a pretty decent year. So what about the rest of the family? We moved down to Tennessee at the beginning of August. Alexis is finishing up her first year as a full-fledged pediatric surgeon. It's going great. She's got fantastic partners, and we've really enjoyed living in Tennessee. Alexis also went on trips to Zambia and Nepal, doing surgery in both of those places. Having Alexis around more often has been a tremendous life improvement. The whole friends and relationships category just got a big boost this year. Let's wrap this up with some thoughts. Number 1, goals get accomplished when I have a bias towards action. I tend to overthink things, I think, and try to make sure there's no chance of failure when I should keep making progress and then correct any mistakes as I go. For instance, like that workshop in there, I probably spent like 2 hours trying to figure out what sort of plywood I should hang from the wall, and I ended up just going with some plywood I found at the hardware store because they didn't have the stuff that I thought I was gonna buy. Another lesson I've learned is the same lesson as every year, and that's consistency. I've been tracking my calories and eating in a deficit for the last 2 months, and that made tremendous progress in my body composition. It's never been like some Herculean effort every day, Just steady progress every day yields pretty big results. I also realized the importance of being proactive when it comes to cultivating friendships and relationships. It really felt like the piece of the pie that was missing, when Alexis was working tremendously long hours and we'd move to new cities and it'd be tough to make close friends. Okay, let's wrap this up. I'm working on my list of goals for next year, and the part of my brain that worries what other people think says I should tone down the goals, not make them so ambitious since I fail at a majority of them every year. I mean, there's some goals I've failed at for 10 consecutive years, which is pretty embarrassing. But the other part of me knows what I'm capable of if I went full tilt, balls to the wall. And being delusionally optimistic is far more exciting and makes for far better videos. So that's what I'll continue to do. What a long video. 38 before 38 list coming next week.